Welcome everybody to Position Papers training for Mayman this year. We're very excited to not only have Mayman coming up, but to guide you on your position papers. And there will be a resolution training to follow. Not today, but we'll give you that information later. But this is to help you not only learn what a position paper is, how to write one, what you need to include in them, and just all the ins and outs of what your position papers, when they're due, and what they should look like. So let's get started. Oh, before that, sorry. If you do have any questions at any time, feel free to put them in the chat and they will be answered as we go, or if we can't get to them as we go at the end. Okay, so important information that you need to know about position papers. We're going to start with that. When are they due? Well, your individual or your delegate position papers are going to be due Sunday, February 16th. Say it with me, Sunday, February 16th at 11:59 Eastern Time. I'm in the Central Time Zone, so for me that would mean 10:59 Eastern Time. But for anyone else, is going by the Eastern Time Zone at 11:59 Sunday, February 16th. It's going to be on practically every slide, so there will be no excuse if you miss the deadline. Now, there's also General Assembly position papers that are going to be required, and those are due 11:59 on Thursday, February 27th, 11:59 Eastern, 10:59 if you're in Central, 11:59 for everybody else. I'll get to the difference of what the individual versus general assembly position papers are just in a minute, but those are the deadlines you need to keep in mind. There's also a link. This is how you're going to submit your position papers, is by the link that's on the Mayman online website. You can follow it there. Also, if you just go to our website, go to Mayman, you'll see the position papers section. And we'll also go through the submission of what that looks like as well. Now, things to know. Your position paper should be a maximum word count of 400. That's generally 3 paragraphs or less. It's also about the equivalent of 1 page single spaced or 2 pages double spaced. But we're talking 3 total paragraphs here. The submissions will not count anything beyond 400 words right there. And so even if you put them in, it will either cut off, or if it doesn't cut off, we as staff will not obtain them and will not grade that. So keep it to 400 words. Now, why are we doing position papers? Well, of course, not only to learn what your country and your delegation's position is on the topics in your committee, but also to be eligible for awards at Mayman. And so any submitted position paper from any from any committee on any topic will be eligible for the best position paper award. So not only does it make you award eligible for your committee work, but there's also a specific position paper award to be earned as well. You will, when you submit them, the magic team, the staff of Mayman will review them, and everyone that is submitted will be scored, and that is how we would determine the best position paper award. Now, the way that the requirements are for position papers is there's delegate and then there's also delegations. So we're going to start with delegate. That means the student, the person individually. For that a delegate to be eligible for committee award, then you will have to submit a position paper on every committee topic. Comparatively, for a delegation to be eligible for the best delegation award in the General Assembly, then one position paper will be required for the General Assembly topic. And I'll go through examples to show you those differences. It is important to note that the delegation position paper, it means that only one and only one can be submitted by the delegation. So if you are a delegation that has 7 or 8 delegates within the delegation, then only one of them can be submitted. And it will be, I might get to this later, but I'll just jump ahead of myself. That can be decided by the delegates themselves, or the advisor may assign that. I think that comes up later, but I'm going to mention it now too. So let me give you that example. For an individual delegate, let's say you're Romania in the Special Political and Decolonization Committee, or Special Political. For Romania to be eligible for the highest or second honors, which are the honors that we give away, The delegate from Romania must submit separate position papers for all of the committee's topics. Those topics are A, international cooperation in the peaceful uses of outer space, B, causes of conflict and the promotion of durable peace and sustainable development in Africa, and C, assistance to states for curbing the illicit traffic in small arms and light weapons and collecting them. So, the special political delegate from Romania will submit 3 total position papers, 1 for each topic. Another example, just to shine this light right on through, is let's say you're Croatia in the SH&C, Social, Humanitarian, and Cultural Committee. To be eligible for any award, highest or second honors in SH&C, then the delegate from Croatia must submit a separate position paper for all of the committee's topics. A, return or restitution of cultural property to the countries of origin. B, promotion and protection of the rights of children. C, report of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, questions relating to refugees, returnees and displaced persons, and humanitarian questions. That's a really long title of a topic, but the SH&C delegate from Croatia will submit 3 total positions papers, 1 per topic. Just to hammer this home, and let's be clear, you don't have to be the named delegates that I've said, Romania or Croatia. This applies to everybody. I just took some examples from delegates who will be in these committees, and these are the actual committee topics. I want to do one more example with Security Council because Security Council is a little bit different. Let's say you're Guyana in Security Council. For that delegate, the Guyanese delegate, to be eligible for second or highest honors in Security Council, that delegate needs to submit a position paper on all of the council's topics. And the Security Council has 4 topics /5 with an asterisk, as I'll explain that in a minute. So the Security Council's topics are the situation in the Middle East, including the Palestine question, non-proliferation / the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the situation in Venezuela, and the situation in Sudan and South Sudan. Now there is a topic E, which is an open topic that allows the council to debate anything else, but the delegate from Guyana will submit 4 on those 4 that I listed and does not have to submit one for the open topic to be award eligible. I'll pause to make sure that that makes sense. But like I said, any Security Council delegate, Guyana and the rest of them, will need to submit 4. You can submit a position paper on the open topic, but it is those 4 which would be required to be award topic eligible. So what that also means is you can't submit A, B, D, and the open and not submit one on topic C. You have to submit one on these 4 in order to be position paper eligible. Now let's switch over to the General Assembly. The topic for the General Assembly is addressing the humanitarian situation in Syria and related questions. So I'm going to turn this around, not a trick question, but see if you were listening what I said earlier, where to be eligible for a General Assembly Best Delegation Award, how many position papers must be submitted for the Syria topic? Multiple choice 1 from each delegate within the delegation, or 1 total on behalf of the whole delegation. Pause for effect. So if you were paying attention, then you heard me say 1 total on behalf of the whole delegation, and it's up to the delegation or the advisor to decide who's going to submit it, how to distribute the work for the position paper within the General Assembly topic of the situation in Syria, the humanitarian situation in Syria. Does everybody have an understanding of what will be required for the individual versus the General Assembly position papers? If you don't, please put that in the chat and we will make sure to go back through it for you. Okay, so now that you know when they're due and how many you have to do, let's talk about what needs to be within a position paper. Some may never have written them before. Some you may have written them, but you want to write them better. And some this might be just a refresher, and all of that is fine. But what the staff who will be grading each paper want you to know is what we are looking for. We are looking for the background information to introduce the topic. We are looking for your country's policy on that topic. We are looking for a proposed way to address or resolve the issues that are raised by the topic. And remember that spelling, grammar, and overall style will also be evaluated. There is a grading rubric, which I will show you, and it's also available on our website. So you can see exactly how that breaks down for us with what we're grading as well, we staff. Okay, so how do you write this thing, right? Isn't that what everyone wants to know? Well, we'll give you a couple of tips and then show you an example as well to give you kind of an introduction into doing it. Like I said earlier, it is one page single spaced or maybe two double, but we're 400 words. So get in there, be concise, be direct, and fit the brief, which, like I said, we'll be going through here. So the background, like which was in the last slide, the background is how you should start. That means describe the topic's historical origins and why it's important. Why is your council or committee discussing it? What has this topic meant to the overall international community? You want to describe that background. You can take a general approach or focus on a specific aspect of the topic. For example, I think it was Security Council that has the question, the situation in the Middle East, including the Palestine question. Well, the Middle East has a lot of topics. So what you can do is just take a general approach of discussing what has been going on in the Middle East and why the international community cares, or you can focus very specifically perhaps on a recent development in the region regarding Palestine, if that is how you want to write your paper. But we need some background. We need, to orient why the international community cares about this particular topic, or why they should care if they don't, or why they should care more. You also want to make sure that you include your country's policy on the topic. And I'll give you some resources because it may be difficult to find your country's particular policy, but it is out there and you can find it. But it does need to be included. Do not spend all of your 400 words on the background and totally, gloss over your country's policy, because as you'll see in the rubric, that will really affect the way that your position paper is graded. Something to keep in mind when you're researching your country's policy and drafting your position paper is, what has your country or the organizations within your country done on a global scale, or even on their own member nation scale, to address this topic. They can be part of a coalition. They could be, part of any sort of, whether it's continent or similarly situated peaceful group, whatever it is. What have they done, or what have they participated in to move this topic from the problematic side of it to hopefully more of a resolution side of it? Because your next point is to include a resolution of the topic that's realistic and creative. We say creative because the way, these are all still topics right now. These are topics up for debate in the various committees now. And so if the topic had already been solved, then they wouldn't be debating it. And so you're going to need to be creative because current resolutions, current ideas haven't fixed the topic. And that's where you all come in. But you also want to be realistic. Things cost money and you can't just shift the blame to other countries, say, oh, they'll pay for it. This is how my position paper is going to solve this issue. You want to be not only creative, but also realistic as well. And I'm going to give you a sample. This was the Best Position Paper Award from 2023. If we need more examples or need to go over it, we can also do the 2024 example, but we'll just go with 2023. And this was submitted by the delegate from France and to the Economic and Financial Committee. Topic was external debt sustainability and development. And what you'll see in this first paragraph is the background. Actually, you'll see a little bit more, but we'll start with just the background, where it gives you an introduction to the topic. It says that sovereign debt has kept the global economy in harmony. And then it goes through kind of what that means and why it affects France. You'll see That introduction is the background information that I referenced earlier. And then the position paper will keep on. This is the next paragraph following. But you see that this delegate from France talks about how to address the issues that were part of the background in the previous slide. Um, Things like addressing corruption, making reforms, how to address fairness and transparency. All of that is the creative but also realistic resolution that this, or it also includes some policy as well with the how France believes things should go, but all of that in here to satisfy the criteria of what a position paper should be. Right here is the policy with France believing the what needs to happen in the resolution and to hold things accountable and to make reforms. But then here again is more creativity for how to resolve this issue. Consider beyond the World Bank, consider beyond the international monetary funds. Um, there are other ways to address it. And the delegate from France goes on to how can we do that? How can we use methods that other agencies or organizations have used, but perhaps aren't working in all respects? How can we use that to then make sure this issue is something that can be resolved? And that, which is the proposed resolution. I forgot my little bursts there, but that's okay. And then this specific position paper wraps up with how this is all going to come together at the committee. This is the background of the topic. This is France's policies on the topic. And then also what does France want to do? Well, it wants to tie up the loose ends of the current systems, which it previously discussed, and how to implement that. Let me take off my bullet there. To show that focusing on equity and holistic wealth creation will or could help address this topic. Pause. Does anyone have any questions or anything come to mind? I'm going to go back to the beginning here. Again, you see the background information. This is your introduction. Then you have France's policy on the issue, although there is some creative and resolution ideas in here that then flows into the next paragraph as well and ends with the proposed resolution. So here are those resources that I mentioned. Are the Magic website. The Magic website has this paper that I just referred to if you didn't have enough time to read every word for it. This paper, there's also other resources on there. Here, there you go, position paper examples. Again, if you go to maymanonline.com, you can go to the Mayman specific page for it, and then you can go to position paper section. This will all be in there. We also have the grading rubric on our website, so you know exactly what we're looking at when we're grading, and that is this. Oh, I think I want the rubric to come up, but I'm not sure if it actually is working. But the rubric itself is not being hidden, and I'll come back to that in just a minute. The UN website, though, is also super helpful. Like I said, it may be difficult to try to find your information, but I promise it is out there. And the UN website is a very, very good resource to try to find that information. Because there's the different committees, there's the different agencies, there's all sorts of different resources, for lack of using that word twice, I suppose, that you will be able to find through the UN website. There's also the news arm of the UN website, which has press releases. It has release reports from the Secretary General, things like that that you can find in there as well. Britannica, I don't think I said that right, but is also a good website that you can utilize to find information. Economists, especially for some of those financial topics, will be helpful. The BBC, also very helpful, very unbiased in my opinion, but you didn't ask for that. And NPR, same thing. Oh, and CNN. I didn't realize I had 4 there. Okay. Let me go back. Okay. So then, as I mentioned, their Magic website is is a good resource. Here are some other ones. And I think the voting rubric will work up here at the end, but your country's foreign policy or foreign relations website, depending on the country, most of them will have English versions for you to be able to view it in. And so you can search through a Google search of, Croatia foreign policy, Romania foreign policy, Guyana foreign policy, and see where that brings you. But if you can't, or if that's not working or giving you exactly what you're hoping for, you can also look up on the UN website your country's voting record on past UN resolutions, either of that topic or topics related. That could be tangentially or directly on point if it's not the exact same topic but was similar. You can see how your country voted on that resolution to see, okay, this was the stance that my country took previously, so that must mean my country liked these things, agreed with these ideas, or didn't. That's also a really good way to frame or to think as well. There's the rubric. Okay, it is working. And so this is again on our website, but this tells you how you will be graded. That background will be 25%. You want to include it? Certainly, you don't want to discount it, but where your most points will come from is the policy. And that's explaining your country's current position and their involvement to date. And if there's quotes from your country's leader, if there are statistics that are important, or information to support your country's involvement on the topic. That's 40% of this paper. Whereas the other two, background and the proposal, are each 25. Very important as well, but the policy is what's going to carry the most weight. And if that's missing, well, then you obviously are behind the starting line from the get-go. And so each of them is important, but policy is something that people often miss. They just say, here's why, this is important, here's what's happened, and here's what we should do to fix it. And that's great. We want to know that information too, because the background in the proposal is also hugely important, especially as you'll develop and you'll present on your debate in your committees at the conference. But this is your time in this position paper to say, this is what my country's position is. And then the last 10% will be for formatting, grammar, spell check, things like that. So this rubric, again, on our website, if you want to look at it or to have a reminder of what is going to be, looked for. Even just the description, like I've gone through and told you what background is, but this, if you don't want to watch the video again, I'm not sure if this will be available afterwards or not, but this will give you a kind of I don't want to say cheat sheet because that's not a thing, but this will give you a good pointer or even just, what was that part again? Come here to the position paper rubric, and you will be seeing the same thing that the staff will be seeing for their grades. Now, okay, you've written your paper. It's beautiful. It's great. It has the background. It has the policy. It's creative. It's realistic. And then you've done spell check. So what do you do with it now? Well, this is what you do. This is how you submit it. This is your time to shine. So first thing to know, do not submit a Google link, a Google Doc link. Do not. I don't want a Google Drive link. I don't want a Google Doc link. I don't want a Google link, period. What you will need to do is copy and paste the text of your position paper into the form. And you're like, well, Deanna, what form? Okay, hold on just a minute. I'll show you. There is a link on our website. You might have heard me talk about the website. Go to the website because there is a position paper and resolution section. And that section will have the link for you to submit the form. And this is what it looks like. It's very beautiful and it's very easy, promise. So to submit a position paper, you will put your name, the left, I'm not sure if my mouse will capture it, but here on the left side of the screen is what it looks like when you go to the website to submit your paper. You will put in your first and last name. It needs to match what your credentials will be. So your actual name, your actual first and last name as it has been submitted by your advisor. You need to put in your email address, whether that's your school email address, whatever email address you use, that goes in the email section. You tell us what grade you're in and what school you go to. You also tell us what country you're representing. And I'm going to say this twice. Do not put United States. Do not put Canada unless you are actually representing the United States or Canada. I don't know if we have any Canadian schools, but I'm just going to say that because we have in the past. So do not put the country you live in. This is not like you're, ordering something from Amazon, you're typing in your home address so it gets here in 2 days. No. Tell me what country you're representing. And then select the committee that you are going to be in at Mayman so that we know which position paper this committee is referring to. A reminder, the individual position papers, meaning your committee position papers, are due by midnight Eastern time, 11:59 on Sunday, February 16th. So you've done this page, you filled everything out, you put in your actual country you're representing, not where you live. You've put in your committee, you put in your name, you put in everything. What happens next? This is what happens next. Takes you to the next page. So even if you select I'm representing the legal committee, you will still see the other topics. But what you need to do is go to your topic, go to your committee, excuse me. You'll see 1, disarmament, 2, special political. You'll see those. Go to yours and you will see the topics as they are. And you will copy and paste into this box. If you're in the Disarmament and International Security Committee, if you're in DISEC, you will copy and paste your position paper for topic A, the situation of democracy and human rights in Haiti. I believe that's right. Whatever your topic A is, you will cut and paste that into here. It will match what the topic should be. And then underneath, though, you will also include your works cited, this last box. So A, B, and C, all filled out. It'll match your topic. And then the works cited, please put in. You can also put in like topic A, works cited, topic B, works cited, or you can just cut and paste whatever's going to be easiest for you. But be sure to include your works cited because the next thing that you will need to do is sign and submit that this is your work. And so by using your works cited, we want to know where you got the information from, but we also want to know by you signing and submitting here that this is your own work, that you have, done your own study, you've done your own research, you've incorporated that into your position paper, but you have not copied it in part or in whole somebody else's work. And then you sign, it's just an electronic signature, which I can never get to look like my real signature, but in any event, do a scribble there to reflect that that is you. And then you can submit it. Right here, submit. So then, if you're doing a GA paper, there's a separate link to submit the resolution, excuse me, the position paper for GA. So again, you will want to be sure that you represent, excuse me, you are filling out the country you represent, the whole delegation. We're only doing one, remember, just one per delegation. You select your country, do not put the country you live in, put the country you're representing, put in the name of the delegate who's submitting it. We just need to assign it to a delegate, but it will credit for the entire delegation. And we want the name of whoever's filling out this form, and the email and the school. You'll go to next, and then this will be what it looks like. Addressing the humanitarian situation in Syria. That's the topic for the General Assembly. You will copy and paste your position paper right into here. You also, if you really wanted to, could type it from the beginning in here. I'm not that trusting. I always want to have it in a different document, do all the edits I possibly can, have the spell check work, and then copy and paste it. But so you copy and paste it would be my recommendation in here. And then again, with your works cited, put that in here. You will hit next. And you will sign again with the same attestation as before of where this is your work. Now, it also, because this is a delegation one, when it says I, this stands for the entirety of the delegation, that it is the work of the delegation. So whoever is signing it with that understanding. We know that too, that this may be a collaborative process. And so by you signing it, that means it would apply to anybody who worked on it, that it was their work, that they did not copy in whole or in part. Are we good? We get it? Okay. And then you will submit right here. So I'm going to go back over the deadlines because there's 2 of them, and the General Assembly one is due after. So focus on your individual position papers first, and those are the ones per each topic of your individual committee or council. Submit those by 11:59 Eastern on February 16th, and then submit your position paper for the General Assembly topic by 11:59 Eastern on February 27th. That gives you time in between so you can get them all done without being rushed. And the General Assembly is due 1 week before your committees will actually start. So you'll be right in the throes of Mayman prep. You'll be ready for it. But those are your deadlines. And now, if there are questions that haven't already been put in the chat and answered, or if we haven't got to them, we can answer them now, but put them in the chat for us. And while you do that, I'm going to remind you to join us for the resolution training I mentioned at the beginning. We'll again go through how to write resolutions at Mayman, because that is the work that will happen at the conference. These position papers all happen before, and we want them before the conference. You need to do them before, not we want, they need to be before the conference. And then the resolutions are the work that you're going to do at the conference. And we will have a training to go through how to do that, especially if you've never done it before, if you've been to other conferences and they do it different. Oh, I just got a reminder that resolutions will, the training are going to, excuse me, the resolutions are going to be submitted before. Okay, that's new. Look at that. I just learned something new. But that's okay. You will submit them before the conference, but you will still work on them at the conference. So that's harkening back to how we used to do it and back in my day. But that's fine. In any event, this training will tell you how to do that and then also go through how to submit them, because you'll want to do that to make sure that the resolutions that you submitted are able to be worked on at the conference. Because ultimately at the conference, you are going to not create them. You're going to work on the ones you've already submitted to get them to a committee consensus to then have it passed and theoretically go to GA for voting and discussion and debate and approval there. But in any event, that's why I'm doing the position paper training and not the resolution training. The folks at the resolution training, which is on February 4th at 5 o'clock, they will be able to answer all of your questions, anything that you may have about how to do it, or even if you don't have questions, but you're just not sure what you don't know, show up and we will walk you through that as well. Any last minute ones? Put them in now. Okay, thank you everybody for coming. I appreciate your time, and we will see you very, very soon.